an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unscrupled, covering Angel, Season 2, Episodes 19 and 20, Belonging and Over the Rainbow. In these episodes, I wondered when Amy Acker was going to show up, and she finally did. She's a favorite of Joss. Welcome to Unscrupled, guys. Hi.
Hi, Money.
Hi, bitches. It's been, I'm kind of excited about this. Like, I'm not big on Cordelia being damseled. or, like, being turned into queen where they're going to eat her, probably. Because that's a storyline from every cartoon ever. But it's nice to see the show kind of diving headfirst into the mythos and the lore. It's good to see a more than 2 episode arc.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, they've sort of had them, but they just forget about them in the middle. It's like, oh, there's a god hunting us. She knows where we live.
We should go bowling.
Yeah. Let's go fight a robot, because we're bored. So, yeah. So, this was weird.
Okay, so we're having more time with the green guy, the host, as they've referred to him. But I actually did spoil you by telling you his name.
Lorne.
His name is Lorne.
I mean, that's fine. It's like I heard them say his whole name.
Yeah.
And no, he's still Lorne. I think he's like a demon version of Lorne Michaels, the guy who runs Saturday Night Live. So
I think Lorne Michaels is a demon version of Lorne Michaels.
That's fair. I mean, I'm not a big fan of his, but I kind of don't want him to come out that he's a giant sexual harasser, so.
Well, here's hoping.
I don't think Tina Fey would work with him if he was.
That's fair.
I mean, Tina Fey has her blind spots that she needs to get her head around, but still, she's enough of a feminist that this wouldn't be a thing. So.
Okay.
I'm hoping Lorne Michaels is actually a decent person.
I'm gonna knock on the wall, because it's made of wood.
It's made of wood paneling.
Uh-huh.
So,
Still wood.
This is an old-ass house, guys.
Old ass.
There's an outhouse. And a ghost.
That's not an outhouse, and I'd really wish you'd stop peeing in it. Okay?
That's your truck. That's right.
We've talked about this. Damn it!
A lot happened in these. I don't really remember how it begins, because, like, the second episode was like, oh, we're going to Elfland.
Yeah. Well, it begins in Lauren's nightclub, Caritas, where a portal suddenly opens in the middle of someone singing karaoke, and a monster jumps out.
Right. I totally forgot about that first monster.
Yeah. We then find out that it's called a Draken.
A Draken, which is like a dragon, but a misspelling.
Yeah, and the thing is not at all dragon-like.
No, it's not, because they don't. I like the costumes most of the time. They need to sort of lean in and make muzzles for these creatures so that they look intimidating rather than just like Halloween masks.
Yeah.
I mean, because the bodies are fine, but, you know, it goes back to Oz's werewolf. The first werewolf was good.
Yeah.
Because it looked like a wolf. The second one looked like they got it from the dumpster on Planet of the Apes, and not the good one.
Yeah, he did look more gorilla-like than wolf-like.
Yeah.
Toward the end.
So, a portal opens up, and he decides to come hire Angel Investigations.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, who else does... Well, he knows all the underworld, so he probably has his choices.
I get the feeling Angel is probably cheaper than the actual, like, competent demons.
Well, they're certainly cheaper than Wolfram and Hart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I saw Amy Acker in the opening credits.
In the name.
Guest starring Amy Acker, and then she appeared for like 2 seconds in a vision and then didn't appear again. So I'm like, oh, clearly we're going to have a lot of her in the next episode because Joss has a giant fucking crush on her.
Yeah.
Like she was barefoot a lot in Dollhouse, and
he likes some kind of wafy.
Yeah.
And she's pretty damn wafy.
She is. So, yeah, I mean, part of me wonders what Dollhouse would have looked like starring her. And having Eliza Dushku play the Doctor instead.
It would have been a very different show, I think.
Probably.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to rewatch Dollhouse. You know what else I want to rewatch lately?
What?
First season of Heroes.
That was a good season.
That was. But I don't think it will hold up because like they had the comics and then like it was very of its time.
It was more like an event, like a concert, than it was.
Why was it so big but with the gays? That was so weird to me.
Everyone in it was pretty hot. And, yeah. Oh wait, I know. Because discovering you have mutant powers is always
been a gay thing?
Well, it's always been a metaphor for coming out in your teens.
Yeah.
It's always a metaphor for homosexuality. I don't care who you are.
I've got the first season DVDs somewhere. Yeah. So, portal opens up, and Cordy has a vision of another portal opening up.
The hell you say?
Yes, in a library.
Yeah, so the team decides to investigate both things at once somehow?
Yes,
I got
also,
a little lost there.
we have Gunn has a little side quest.
Yeah.
So let's knock that one out, because his two buddies, which I was afraid were just going to fade into the background, show up saying that they found a vampire nest that's feeding on homeless people.
Yeah.
And they're the only people on Earth who care about vampires feeding on homeless people.
This is true.
Right.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the city planners would be like, well, why don't we just let them take care of this?
Right. But they actually have another demon they need to fight beforehand.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot
which we
of
never
demons
see
around.
on screen.
Yeah, they just talk about it a lot, and it's...
But that's what keeps Gunn from going to fight with his friends.
Right.
And it just makes me think, it's like Riley, I feel like Gunn needs to go back to his roots. Because Gunn seems to be an effective leader.
Okay. That's fair.
He doesn't seem as useful to the cause of humanity working for Wesley. I don't mind the bromance they have going on. It's cute.
Yeah.
But it's also, like, Gunn is a super compelling character on paper. And, yeah, make him be in charge of his gang of miscreants, like the island of misfit toys that kills vampires.
Okay.
I just don't understand why he works for them.
Well, money is always nice.
He works with them alone. Like,
yeah.
I feel like he would be sending, like, I need funds for my organization. I'm going to farm out some of my warriors to the Angel cause and get paid that way.
Well, Angel didn't offer them jobs.
I don't know.
And
You suck at delegation, Gunn. You really do.
Well, he finally found something that he's good at that he can get paid for. And before he was doing it for free on the streets. And frankly, that's how his sister died.
Yeah.
I think that might have soured him a little bit for the whole vigilante underworld demon justice thing.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, and his friend gets iced in the process.
He goes down swinging, but yeah.
And they don't know if they know he was drunk. They don't know if he drank. So they have to burn his body.
Like you do.
And I kind of felt for him, even though we're not really invested in this dude.
Yeah, so when I watched this time, and I saw which of the dudes had died, I'd be like, oh, it was the fun one.
I can't differentiate them. Because, I remember that episode with them and they were really poorly written, so.
Oh yeah, they totally were, but one was definitely more fun.
Okay. So, yeah, and Gunn shows back up and has learned nothing from this little side quest, so I wonder if that's going to come back.
Who's to say?
Yeah. So, they deal with one demon off-screen, which...
Yeah, which is boring.
And Cordy, and then they start to invest, okay, so Lauren shows up and says, okay, a demon jumped out of a portal and is rampaging everywhere.
Let's go kill it! Or rather, you guys kill it, and I'll drink a sea breeze.
Right, and then they decide to go to the library because they know a portal was there and where this girl named Winifred, and it bothered me that she was called Fred.
Yeah.
Because they didn't I had to look her up on IMDb.
You know you're not allowed.
I looked at the episode, not at the actual...
Okay.
Not at the actual series.
Good call.
That's one thing I like about the IMDb layout is, the very first link at the top before you scroll down and see who's in it is, all episodes, and you can navigate to a single episode, and it won't tell you how many episodes they were in.
Nice. Perfect.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a little less dangerous that way.
Right.
Yeah, and they open the portal again, and Lauren's cousin jumps out.
Yeah, he does. They also find out that she's been missing for a fucking long time.
Yeah, so they've kind of given up on her.
Yeah.
But that's stupid, because she's played by Amy Acker, so clearly she's going to be in this thing more.
Well, yes. I'm trying to remember how long she was lost for. Since
5 years.
5 years? Yeah. That's a fairly long time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so time out before we go any further there, because we have to talk about another side quest that a different character had.
Which one?
Or maybe that was in the next episode. I can't keep them apart anymore.
Which side quest are we talking about?
Cordy. Was that in the next
Cordy.
episode?
I totally forgot about that. Cordy has an audition.
Yeah, well, no, Cordy landed a nationwide commercial, which is, a big deal when you haven't been doing nothing but jack nor shit.
Right.
And, yeah, that was this episode, because Angel had to go ask about the demon we never see.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. So, how did you feel about that whole scene?
A year ago, I would have felt very differently. Because one thing this whole Me Too movement has made me realize is that men are, not just terrible, but not subtle about it at all.
No.
So the way he's like, do you want to fuck her? I don't want to fuck her. I'm like, this is over the top. This is stupid. No one behaves like that. And now after seeing how a lot of directors have behaved, I kind of yep, that is believable to me now that he would be that much of a fucking pig.
Mm-hmm. And not just that much of a fucking pig, but that much of a fucking pig in front of other men.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that, most dudes don't realize exactly how bad it is because dudes don't do it in front of other dudes.
Yeah, that's what was really, that's what really made me think, okay, am I believing this? Is he being this much of an asshole in front of guys? Does he know, it gets into the whole thing, do these abusers understand just how socially unacceptable this is? And behavior like this makes me suspect they don't. But this is also a guy in a position of power, and he does whatever the fuck he wants, so...
Right. He doesn't have to care if it's
when the director does it, it's acceptable,
Right.
So, yeah, I had a lot of complicated feelings. But it was also really poorly acted and poorly written, so...
Oh, yeah, it was absolutely poorly written. But, again, kind of growing up around LA the way I have... I never doubted it for a moment. Yeah, there's some assholes in Hollywood that totally treat women that way because they're actresses and they're disposable.
Right. And, men with money are just terrible. And have you heard about Papa John recently?
I've hated Papa John for some time, which is obnoxious because that garlic sauce is like crack.
Okay,
but I don't buy from him.
Here's a little story for you guys. So Papa John, he's kind of made waves. He opposed Obamacare because he didn't want to pay for extra for healthcare for his employees, and then he started putting surcharges on everyone. It's like, here's your employee healthcare. You had to pay an extra $1 for your pizza.
So I'm happy to pay for employee healthcare so that they don't come to work sick and infect me.
And he came out against the NFL players kneeling during the Pledge of Allegiance. So, yeah. And
isn't he also a big game hunter?
Yeah, it's a boilerplate.
Boilerplate trash human.
Trash human, rich trash human. But recently, he hired a PR firm specifically to help his image.
Maybe stop taking pictures humping dead sharks.
They had and they were having a conference call where they were trying to tell him, this is some ways you can behave to look better in the world. Apparently, he would not stop saying the N-word. On a call about how to be more racially sensitive, he would not stop saying the N-word.
Wow.
Yeah. So the board got together, they decided to fire him, and he's doing some shenanigans, but here's the fucking thing that kind of sealed it for me for this director and how this is now believable for me, is that he handed in his resignation with a picture of himself. And then I'm like, okay, wait, what's going on here? Apparently, he's been fighting professional marketing firms because he wants on all of their logos and all of their brandings a fucking picture of himself. He cannot not look at himself.
He's not an attractive man.
No, he's not. He's just got that big of an ego.
He makes me not want to eat pizza.
Yeah. So now, in the context of this, where a man can be so colossally stupid as John Papa, I guess Bob Papa, is it?
Whatever the fuck his actual name is.
Yeah, can be that stupid and egomaniacal, and suddenly I'm like, I think 2 weeks ago I wouldn't have believed that there was a person like this in the world, and now I do.
Yeah, and now you know there's lots of them.
Right. And then there's it brought up another real life thing in that, wait, you're marketing sunscreen by saying, oh, I'm so sexy. And then I realized that's exactly what Hardee's does. It's ooh, here's a sexy woman sitting on a car eating a hamburger. And they... Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
And Carl's Jr., which is also Hardee's. But I'm kind of down for it when Carl's Jr. does it. Or Hardee's, depending on which side of the country you're in. I'm kind of down for it when they do that because they also, make the sandwich sexy. It's dripping and it looks really tasty. And I like to see women eat.
Okay.
That's, they're making women eating a sexy thing, and honestly, I think we kind of need that. But...
Speaking of women eating sexy things, there's popsicles downstairs, which we're going to have to eat after this.
Yes, there are, and they're shaped like dinosaurs!
Yes, I have dibs on the Triceratops.
Yes, you do. But, pretty much all products do this, right? All products take it to the sexy place.
But some of them are more subtle. Specifically, the guy who owns Hardee's is a massive prick. And, giant Republican sexual harasser. And he's just he's also fought marketing firms. Just we need to do something other than sexy women. Or something more than just sexy women. He's no, titties. Titties everywhere. Yeah. Throw titties all over everything.
Titty.
Titties and burgers. That's what Americans want. And, it's... So, yeah.
Well, he's not wrong. And never mind.
Yeah, but we're a little,
we can have other things, too.
We're more sophisticated than that, though.
Or we'd like to be, if they'd give us a chance.
I think, one thing about, the Flynn effect, right? How subsequent generations keep getting smarter.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's the thing about IQ tests is they make them harder every year.
Oh, wow.
So that the baseline is always in the middle.
Okay.
But, yeah, if you do the same test, subsequent generations just get better. And I think a big part of that is the fact that we, consume so much more. We're always on our phones. We're always reading. Mm-hmm. We're always in touch. We understand references a lot better.
Okay.
You can do commercials with 3 or 4 layers of irony in them.
Right.
So, Hardee's is not that. It's just titties and burgers.
No, it's not that. It is just titties and burgers.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was a bit of a diversion there. Yeah, Angel nearly gets her fired.
Yeah. With his not playing the game.
Right. And Cordy nearly gets fired. because she's not sexy enough, and it's just hard to watch.
It's not that she's not sexy enough, it's that she's not willing to debase herself enough.
Mm-hmm.
She actually has, like, standards and is trying to keep her nipples off camera. And no one else is interested in that.
Right. So, we have to meet this cousin. And apparently Lorne has been exiled for not dying?
Okay, so no. Lorne wasn't exiled. Lorne ran the fuck away. And he makes that very clear.
I wasn't clear what he was running from.
He hates his world. He hates it. There's no music. There's no booze. It's all about being a warrior or not being a warrior if you're, like, female. And he's not female, so he must be a warrior.
Two things there. Like, how does he know that he's missing something if he's never experienced it? And two, the episode it made me feel like there was something very specific that he did not do. That he ran from.
Well, I suppose we'll discuss that in a minute. But, no, they cover it in the second episode that he, like, bailed on his rite of passage or something.
Was that what happened?
There was a bunch of, like, things he was supposed to live up to that he didn't do. Essentially, he was in a world full of football players and he was a sissy boy. Mm-hmm. And as far as not knowing you're missing something if you don't know what it is, hello, we're gay!
There are dicks and vaginas in the world that we, like, these things exist that we can lust after. You know what? Like, I don't think, medieval peasants, ran away because they wanted to play video games, you know?
Okay. When I was a kid and going through puberty, I knew there was something that I wanted that wasn't the norm. But damned if I knew what it was. It took me until I was 15 to figure out it was girls.
It's a big leap from, like, there's something I want to do rather than I think what I need will be in another universe.
Well, he talks about how he could hear music or, like, you know, the things that could be compiled into music, and no one else could. No one else thought that sounds were interesting like that or could have beauty. And he knew that made him weird. And if you're yearning that hard, a crapshoot of jumping through a portal doesn't seem like such a bad idea.
What if you end up in a place with no oxygen?
Yeah, what if you end up someplace worse? What if you're in a world without shrimp?
I don't really like shrimp. That would be fine with me.
Yeah,
plus all the slave labor we have to produce it, so...
Shrimp is oh man, I liked shrimp.
I'm sorry, did I ruin it for you?
You ruined shrimp!
I thought you knew that.
It's exhausting questioning everything.
There is no ethical consumption under capitalism.
So we can't eat anything?
The point is, like, you can't, there's no way to be, good about everything. And so I use it and, like, yes, you find out there's some terrible things, like, but some of us can't afford to buy shoes at places other than Walmart. You know, like, we don't have that option. You're going to kill yourself trying to make sure that everything is, everything you eat and use has been ethically, sourced, and you have to trust a lot of corporations that are probably not telling you the truth. And you can't solve it through individual consumption anyway. It's like...
This is true.
Individual boycotts like this don't work because these are economies of scale. So you need systemic and institutional pressure. So, yeah, like, my point here is just because you find out about it, like, yeah, you're going to feel guilty when you realize that, but it doesn't mean you can alter your life to work around this. For what? It's a moral victory?
Yeah. The 200 shrimp I don't eat are going to get eaten by someone else.
And they're going to be thrown away.
That's
it's like, because grocery stores throw a lot of food away. Another thing that we, like, another non-ethical thing that happens. So, like, don't stress over it. Like, write your congressman. That's more effective than not eating shrimp.
I was so proud of myself for knowing that dolphins were assholes, and now this. Anyway, Back to Angel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Lauren was running away from a life filled with dissatisfaction and disappointing his family and not living up to expectations. Who amongst us hasn't done that at some point?
Okay. It seemed like a stretch to me.
My crapshoot was joining the Navy. Did I know what I was getting into? Hell no!
Yeah.
But anything had to be better.
Right. So, there is, Cousin, they decide to go hunting for this thing.
Yeah, Cousin totally is down for hunting the Draken.
Right. And they chase it down, and there's a random-ass blonde lady who's been kidnapped by it, but not eaten.
Yeah, whatevs.
They chase it down, they kill it, and Cousin gets bit.
Oh no! But wait, he can be fixed with a simple potus of thing that doesn't exist in this world. It's imperative that we open up another portal to send him home.
Right, which is on stage, and Cordelia inevitably gets sucked in.
Yeah, we don't get to see her get sucked in. She's
just
missing.
Not there.
I really wanted them to go through a portal and her to pop up from behind the bar with, like, a bottle of vodka in each hand, be like, we doing screwdrivers or margaritas?
I think this was peak Sex in the City. She'd do a Cosmo.
That's true. Or an Appletini.
No, Appletini's, like, that was a Noah's Ark thing. I don't think that came around till 05.
Fine.
So. Cordelia takes her cues from girly television.
Well, yeah, what else does she have? She hasn't got friends.
Yeah. Which, she's got Harmony.
Friends who try to eat you.
Yep. So, well, you're a lesbian, you know that.
Usually it's way more fun than the way Cordelia or Harmony has in mind.
Right. So, yeah, and that's the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
This is going to be a 4-episode arc, isn't it?
Who's to maybe? I don't know.
I just feel like we've seen this world that has a lot of people in makeup and a lot of props and a lot of sets. It feels like if you have 3 episodes with it, like you've spent all this money, like get a 4th episode out of it.
Not only that, they changed the way vampire physics works just to be able to have stuff outside during the day.
Right. So
let's talk about...
Also, I'm about 60% certain that that's the same place where they filmed Jurassic Park 2. Because that river she ends up looks really like I expected a Stegosaurus to walk on from stage right.
So while I was watching it with girlfriend was like, oh look, it's Malibu Canyon. I'm like, shh, you're ruining it.
Is that Malibu Canyon?
I don't know. It's one of the canyons around here.
Mm-hmm.
Cause everything is filmed around here.
Yeah.
And yeah, girlfriend does that all the time. Anytime we watch anything that's supposed to be set in college, it's like, oh look, it's UCLA again. Let me tell you everything about each building that they're in. I'm like, shut up, you're ruining it.
Let us pretend.
Yeah, can I pretend that they're...
When she played Cops and Robbers, did she this is actually... Did she stop and describe where she was hiding? I mean...
It's like, so...
This is a juniper tree. This is where they make alcohol, and the female ones have berries, and the male ones don't.
Yeah, and if you take off the bark, just like so, why am I in handcuffs?
Gwen-splaining.
Gwen-splaining. She actually asked me not to use that term anymore because she found it offensive. I'm like, but you're doing it! And she's like, I'm not doing it! While she does it. I'm gonna get so little sex if she ever listens to this episode. We should move on. Stop harshing my relationship. Not for realsies, guys.
So... There is, so we go into the next episode, and Wesley and Angel are super worried about Cordelia. Angel more than Wesley.
Angel's flipping shit.
Yeah.
Wesley's like, we'll get some books, it's gonna be okay, Cordy's a big girl, she can handle herself.
Yeah.
And Angel's like, my baby!
I don't understand they're trying to force this connection between Cordelia and Angel.
Yeah.
And of all the Scooby-Dang, Cordelia was always the most independent.
Yeah. Yeah, she didn't need them. She didn't care about them.
I mean, she got rescued a couple times, but she also, she never kind of expected to be rescued.
That is accurate. Sorry, guys, it's been a long day. Yeah, she always kind of is like, oh, you're here to rescue me. Thank you, kind of biting remark.
Yeah.
Something sarcastic, but, general gratefulness, except that I also hate you.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So, so this becomes the quest to figure out how to get there. And, there was a whole bunch of, there's hot spots and cold spots, which I didn't understand.
Okay. So it's like when you have a Wi-Fi link that only works sometimes. And if you use it up, and it takes a few hours to recharge.
So the portal's on Comcast?
Yes, exactly.
Hey, Money. You want to go and see that Stevie Nicks drag cover band this weekend?
I can't, bitches. That is a very specific event, and it sounds tailor-made to just you and me, but I gotta do some shopping this weekend.
Shopping? You have subscription services for everything. You get your food, your clothes, your underwear, and your dildos in a box every month. What else could you possibly need?
I just finished Harry Potter a couple months ago, so now I need some Harry Potter-themed stuff, and I want to decorate my man cave with some suitably dorky accoutrement, but I don't want to support some fucking child labor or NBC Universal Shineheart. So that means I gotta go on eBay and Etsy for a whole fucking day to find the stuff made by people who actually like this stuff instead of this franchise brand-managed horseshit.
Oh, dude, I've got the thing for you. You need AccioBox.
I'm not gonna say that because that's gonna summon a litter box to my hands, and that is gross.
No. AccioBox.com. Every month you get handmade, hand-curated Potter swag made by fans for fans out of love.
Really? Actually, I don't have a pithy comeback to that. That sounds pretty cool. What do I get?
Oh, you get 3 to 5 quality handmade items for just $39.99 a month.
$39.99 a month? I spend more than that on conditioner.
Yeah, you do, you vain son of a bitch. So, after you're done washing your fucking hair, head on over to AccioBox.com. That's ACCIO box.com. And use the promo code UNSPOILED to get 10% off your order, you cheap bastard.
Well, alright, where can I look at this stuff before I actually throw down my credit card numbers?
Check out their Instagram, @TheAccioBox, and on Facebook.
Alright, I'm sold. Prep the Flu Network, I'm coming down this weekend.
AccioBox.com. Magic delivered.
Or AT&T.
Yeah, we have AT&T.
Yeah, we do.
But it's repackaged as Sonic. I don't understand how they make money off of this. But I'm not a business person. I don't understand business numbers.
I'm sure there's a way. It's got to be taxes or money laundering or something. Who cares?
Or maybe they just buy in bulk and pay for the ones they don't sell. I guess.
There's a lot of ways to make money that don't make sense to people who, don't
have MBAs?
Well, or have, a conscience? Or maybe don't know tax law. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening out there that sometimes you can reap the benefits of, but there's always some dark side to it.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
So, I don't really remember a whole lot that went on in the real world other than Lauren going to visit his friend who was a vaguely more ethnic faith.
Yeah, she was a psychic or a therapist or something, and I didn't really get that entire scene anyway, because at that point I just wanted to go to Cordy's storyline, which was way more interesting.
Yeah. That's why I'm trying to do this one first.
Yeah.
And also the word therapist is ruined for me.
Oh.
By Saturday Night Live.
Because of Celebrity Jeopardy?
Yes. It's
yes.
I can't ever hear that word without thinking, the rapist for 400.
No, you have to do it right, because it's Celebrity Jeopardy, so it's Sean Connery, and it's, Alex, it must be my lucky day, I'll take the rapists for 1,000. And Alex is, the therapists. And then everyone dies laughing. But you're right. I can't ever hear the word without hearing the rapists for 1,000.
Yeah. I'm glad that who reads is not an actual phrase that people say, because I would always hear whore ads.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, they futz around for a bit. They get the book and they decide to get in the car.
Yeah, because somehow being in the car will keep them from landing different places.
Sure.
Whatever. I think, yeah. Okay,
I'm really hoping the car stays behind, because, like, I brought it up a couple times that, like, this early aughts thing where, to show coolness, people would have these cars from the 60s that don't fucking work.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, these things, like, they get 4 miles to the gallon. The air conditioning runs on Freon, which will probably give you cancer. They break down all the time.
Yeah, they do. I feel ya. I'm with ya. They're kind of sexy.
I don't think they are, because they were, like...
You're not the target audience for that flavor of sexy.
Okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
They're boxy and unwieldy.
Yes, and made of steel.
Yeah, and they kill you because they don't have crumple zones.
Right. And everything in it is a weapon.
Why does a vampire have a convertible?
You're right, that part is fucking stupid.
I told you.
I'm with you.
So, yeah, the psychic says that you need to go.
Yeah, you have to actually go to Pylea. Or Cordy's gonna die.
Yep. And
thanks, psychic.
Meanwhile, Cordy is in a field and she gets attacked by a not Oz.
Yeah, by a not werewolf.
And then they call her a cow and lasso her.
Like you do.
So apparently humans are cows, or is it gender specific?
Yeah, all humans are cows.
Okay.
No one's a bull, everyone's a cow.
Okay. And then she's sold at market for, like, a pig and a jug of moonshine.
Yeah, she is rather undervalued. Except that,
she's not very good at manual labor. She's never had to do this.
She really isn't. She's quite the scrawny cow.
Yeah.
And super mouthy. They're right about her mouthiness. If I had a cow, I would want her to shut up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not something that is on her resume.
So. No.
Yeah. So, yeah. And she is sold to this old biddy who's very bitchy and shit.
And treats her like a slave, because that's what she is.
She definitely is a slave.
And then, in the middle of the marketplace, Cordy has a vision.
Oh, we forgot her running into the runaway cow.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Before the vision, she does run into a runaway cow.
Which is clearly Fred, which is a stupid fucking nickname for Winifred.
Joss has this thing where he likes to gender fuck with names. That's why in Firefly there's a boy named Jane, and in Angel there's a girl named Fred. I think it's kind of, like, once you notice the pattern, you're like, Joss, really?
I just don't like Fred.
Yeah. I don't mind Fred.
It's too Fred and accounts receivable.
Yeah, Fred's totally an
accountant name. It's like Linda. Clearly, she's an HR, you know?
Yeah. Karen's in finance. Mm-hmm. And wants to speak to the manager.
Yep.
Yeah, it's true. Man, what are Chris's stereotypically?
Everything, because we're fucking everywhere.
It's true! We're taking over the world,
Remember,
guys!
I worked for a firm where literally half the employees were named Chris.
Well, yeah.
There were 8 full-time employees, and 4 of them were named Chris.
That's fair. There's also a lot of Dannys. Did you know that? There was an entire row in my company that was just guys named Danny. In fact, the CEO was walking around showing people, like, showing some potential investors or something, the company one day, and he's like, okay, and over there's marketing, over here's events, and this is just a row of guys named Danny. Yeah.
I hate that both of my names are incredibly common.
Yeah, that's gotta suck for you.
Mm-hmm.
My given name is at least unique. I mean, it's horrible, but it's unique.
Yeah. So, yeah, she runs into Fred, who is hiding in the barn. What?
Nothing. Barney. Anyway, so yeah, she runs into Fred, and Fred tries to, like, tell her some stuff, but Fred's not that articulate.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
odd for a librarian.
Well, she's been alone, essentially, for 5 years. I mean, she probably lost some language skills.
Okay. Yeah, I don't understand what she was trying to tell her. But she did tell her, like, don't take off the collar because it will...
Explode your head.
Yeah.
And that would suck.
Because they saw a battle royale.
Well, I mean, I was going to say who hasn't, except that I haven't.
I don't like it.
I don't know what
It's the Hunger Games
okay.
in Japan.
Oh. Yeah. I love the Japanese, but they can take things to a weird place.
I don't know. There's just some, like, I feel like there's some cultural things that we're just not privy to. So there's events that happen and you're like, that feels like it came out of left field. But it's kind of happened with quite a few Japanese horror flicks I've seen. So it just feels like they have different traditions in their art. So.
Well, they do.
That came up, I was listening to another podcast and they were covering this game called Pathologic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, like, really weird. It's super cool, but it's super weird and super hard.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, this feels weird to us because it's Russian.
Right.
Like, we've only ever played American and Japanese games, and we only ever know how to deal with those story beats.
Right. Because, yeah, Russian narrative style is way different than American narrative style.
Right. And I know there's something lost in translation there, too.
Oh, there's gotta be.
Yeah.
And just like Britney Spears jokes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're gonna get them right away because that's that's what's happening to us. But if you're from another culture and you don't know, about Britney Spears and all of that stuff that happens surrounding her, none of it's gonna fucking land.
I think Britney Spears is super popular worldwide. I think the right one is Cardi B.
I don't even know who that is.
That's because you're old.
Fuck you.
I only know who she is because I've seen her name on Tumblr. I don't know what she looks like or what she sounds like, so I'm in the same boat.
Who the fuck is she? Who knows?
I think she's a singer.
I don't know.
Yeah. Who's Cardi B, guys? Please write that in a review.
Yeah, send us a review where you tell us that.
We could use some reviews because we want to be in the iTunes charts.
Yeah, we do. I want people to be able to find this podcast because right now I have to tell them about it, and that's sad for me.
Yeah. Should I print you some business cards?
Maybe. I'm going to Worldcon next week.
Ooh, I'll have to rush them.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay. Yeah, so... And then they catch the fugitive.
Yeah.
And that's when we go to the market and she has a vision while carrying viper's milk.
Yeah, something about
Vipers don't lactate.
You can milk their venom.
But that's venom, not milk.
Yeah, but, if you want to make something sound weird, you call it milk. From a thing that doesn't produce milk.
Also, I love the how do you tell the difference between venom and poison?
How?
If you bite it and you die,
it's poisonous.
It's poison. If it bites you and you die,
it's
venomous. And then the question is, well, what if it bites me and it dies? Well, you're poisonous. What if I bite it and neither of us die? That's kinky.
That's kind of hot.
Yeah. So, yeah, viper milk. Gross.
Yeah, there's something about milk from something that doesn't make milk that's really icky.
So she has it can't be any ickier than the beach cow titty milk from Last Jedi.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was gross, and he doesn't even chill it.
And it was dripping in his mustache. Ah!
God, guys, I have my problems with Last Jedi, and this, I felt physically sick at this.
It was
gross.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Angel.
Mm-hmm.
Cordy has a vision, and they start calling her names and saying that she needs to go up to the tribunal or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that she is, what was unclean, or was she cursed cow?
Yeah.
Cursed cow! That's the name of my other band.
Right. So, yeah, and they decide to have a conclave, and a priest shows up. I thought he might be human at first, because he was wearing robes.
Yeah. Not so much.
So how did humans get here?
How do we know they're not native?
That's a good point.
There's enough of them that...
You think it's like a Planet of the Apes type thing where, like, there was some humans on this fucking planet and they just started to breed?
I think that it might be a concurrent evolutionary path. Like, so we haven't met any humans on this planet other than the ones that were sucked from our world.
But we did see another woman in the background.
Right, but because we haven't talked to them, we don't know if they are just human looking and much lower IQs. What if it's like us and monkeys?
Okay, maybe.
Like, we don't know. So, maybe we'll find out.
Yeah, so they drive the car through the portal.
Yeah.
And then we have Angel's like, oh my god, the sun. And I was like, you shouldn't have crushed that fucking ring, dude. All of your problems could have been solved right there.
Yeah.
It was really stupid.
It was pretty dumb. But I did like Angel's childlike glee prancing about in patches of sunshine. That was fun to see for me.
I didn't. Like, I'm so sick of David Boreanaz.
You just hate him so much.
I really do. Like,
and it's okay.
He's not a good actor. He doesn't emote well.
No.
His character's not interesting. And that's why I'm kind of liking these episodes, because they're not revolving around him.
Yeah, he's kind of a secondary, even almost tertiary character for most of them.
Mm-hmm.
We only have to see him brood, like, for a couple of seconds at a time, and then it, like, goes to something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, all the other characters are getting a ton of screen time. I'm pretty stoked about these episodes, you guys.
Okay. Yeah, so they decide to hide the car.
Yeah.
And then they fight over where the book went. And, like, we saw the book fall to the ground.
Yeah. But
so
Wesley puzzles it out.
I mean, he has a theory. And it's one of my criticisms of this and Buffy is, like, watchers just have explanations. And he doesn't know that that's right. All he knows is the book isn't here.
Yeah. But it's an explanation that gets him off the hook.
The show does not really allow for the watchers being wrong ever, you know? That's
accurate.
Imperfect information is something we have to deal with. And especially if it's always perfect and it's always at hand, it doesn't feel good when they figure it out.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like, when Sydney Bristow's digging in ancient books and going through the Mission Impossible shit to try and get an answer for something, that feels a little more satisfying. I don't need to, it doesn't seem too easy. Whereas if Wesley says, oh, here's a book, here's how it works, I'm like, I start to say, okay, to add some tension, because I was
Could you look through, 4 or 5 books?
Can you make sure, could this be wrong at some point, you know?
Could some books contradict each other?
Exactly.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and like I've said before, like, I don't think, like, I know watchers have been around taking notes forever, but we don't realize how passing information, we've never really had a good accuracy test until the video camera was created. Like, everything has been filtered through memories, and memories are not
reliable.
They're not reliable. They're reconstructions.
And they are subjective.
Yeah.
And point of view.
Plus,
changes.
when you relay them over 3 or 4 people, like, things fucking change.
Yeah.
So, and I've kind of, like, I remember having this argument with my high school history teacher when we were discussing Rasputin. It's like, yeah, they gave him cyanide, they shot him, they cut his head off, he didn't die until he drowned. And I'm like, did he though? Because that sounds like someone who is trying to brag that they finally killed this monster would say. Yeah. That's And my history teacher was just like, no, that's what happened. And I'm like, you do not know that.
Yeah. Prove it!
It sounds like bullshit. And then, like, we had, we read the diaries of Cabeza de Vaca. Do you know who he is? No. You didn't take Texas history. Like, Texas history was a big deal. But, like, he's a guy who got shipwrecked and, like, walked across Texas. Okay. And there were a lot of stories of him finding natives and healing them and being worshipped as a god. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, did you, though? Yeah. Did any of them come with you to validate your story?
Or are you just the guy that shows up in town and says, oh yeah, those Indians back there, they totally worship me as a god because I gave them aspirin. It was awesome.
Oh, he didn't. No, he said he laid hands on them and healed them. But with the power of Jesus. So.
With the power of Jesus.
Yep. So, yeah. That kind of thing makes me wonder, like, how accurate are the Watcher texts?
Huh. Yeah.
Because they didn't seem to know that Angel was cursed.
Yeah, they did. Didn't they?
I don't think they did. They just said, like, it's 80 years ago we lost track of him.
Oh, yeah. Well, he did kind of... Well, no, the thing is he wasn't keeping a totally low profile. He was being a dick.
Yeah. So, still, it's like, if they can miss information, can they get information wrong? And you see what I'm getting at here, is like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have... If it's not difficult to get, it's cheap. So.
Yeah. Super not satisfying.
Anyway, that was a long discussion about Wesley figuring out where the book went.
Right. So they make it to this new world where Lauren is from, and Lauren is talking about how lame it all is, and actually it looks pretty cool, because it looks like Malibu Canyon.
I don't know, it looks hot and sticky.
Like Malibu Canyon.
Yeah. And no one's wearing a kilt.
No one is. You guys.
I'm wearing it right now. It's super comfy. My balls can breathe.
Yeah, it arrived just in time. I didn't know if it would, but yeah, for Money's birthday, I sprung for one of those rainbow kilts that are all the rage on the Facebooks right now. And he's kind of not taken it off except to wash it ever since. So I'm feeling pretty good about my present.
It was a good birthday present, and it's comfy to hang around in. And yeah, so it's the equivalent of the Apple TV I gave to you like 5 years ago.
That I'm still using.
And you still haven't changed the picture set. So.
Giggity. Actually, I've changed it twice, but I like the animals.
Okay.
They're so cute.
Uh-huh.
And there's pandas.
Yeah, I'm shocked that thing still works. And it works really well, guys. Like, there's one thing that, like, I hate Apple because of their planned obsolescence and how they, like, make their older hardware not work with firmware updates.
Yeah.
I think that department forgot about this version of the Apple TV.
Something.
Because it still works just as good as when I got it.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. It's like one of the better, like, you've given me a lot of great presents of, like, here's technology I no longer want or use. And yeah, that's, like, in my top 2. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Lauren goes to say hi to someone and immediately gets branded as a traitor, and they get chased into town.
Yeah.
And there's a fight that doesn't go so well. It was kind of cute that they're like, we can take them, and then suddenly they're tied up.
Yeah. Yeah, remember this is a society entirely of, like, warrior people who are just looking for shit to fight. So, yeah.
This characterization of it, like, it's fine for the show's purposes, but I always get a little... Do you know what it reminds me of? And, like, I don't think the U.S. should have dropped the atomic bomb.
Okay.
I could understand needing one. Why did you drop the second one? But a lot of people try to justify it. Well, the Japanese would have fought to the last man, and I'm like, no. There is diversity in populations. Like, they are not single-mindedly going to commit a collective suicide for some weird notion of honor.
Sabuku, and actually having lived in Japan. Yeah,
you're telling me every single adult male would have kept fighting until they were all dead? I don't buy it.
Not every single one, but the most of them, yeah. They would have continued to fight on for years.
Then why didn't they?
As long as they could have held out. Because they were down 2 cities, and Tokyo was next. I
don't agree with it.
World War II was the Japanese Empire was based on the idea that their emperor was a god.
Well, that's how kings work.
Well, yes. But, like, they believed it as a literal truth back then. And they weren't ready to stop fighting until their emperor got on the radio and said, Okay, so here's the thing. I'm not actually a god. That's when they stopped fighting.
I feel like these are stories we tell ourselves to justify creating a fifth horseman.
That was a story told to me by my Japanese student.
That's fine, but I don't buy that, in the face of losing a war, that the army would not have turned on the emperor.
No, they wouldn't have. Japanese society is very different from ours, sweetie.
I'm willing to bet, I don't know much about Japanese history. I'm willing to bet there are plenty of emperors where there were coups.
Yes, I'm sure there were, but not from the rank and file.
I'm not buying it.
There were warlords where there were coups, but not the emperor.
Do you see how I have a problem with a culture that is not mine and saying that they have these cultural values that mean that they are going to die in service of something terrible? And that's why we must do what we did.
Well,
you see why I'm skeptical of this, right?
Oh yeah, because it's a very convenient narrative.
It really is.
And I don't agree with the dropping of the atomic bombs on 2 cities. I think that was, we should have found a different way. But just fighting more and on until we conquered Japan would have left a bloody death toll. The butcher's bill on that one was gonna be
I'm not saying what the right answer was here, but we literally invented a fifth horseman.
Yeah.
And I think a large part of our history is justifying that we had to do it.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean we made a hard choice. I can't go back in time and play it differently. I can't restart the game and play it out differently and see if it would have been a lower death
But you
toll.
see, that's why I'm bringing this up, because this kind of.
The thing is, I see why you're bringing it up, but I've lived there, and the narrative isn't that far off from the narrative that they're telling me with their actual voices, person to person, with no agenda.
And how does that? And I don't know. I've heard narratives where don't get angry with Americans because they'll shoot you.
That's accurate.
Not in any real numbers. There's a small minority of people who will shoot you.
Yes. It really depends on which neighborhood you're in, guys.
Yeah, if there's white people, run.
Well, yeah. If you are of color, run. Sorry.
Yeah, white people are terrible.
I don't want it to be this way, guys.
Anyway, what I'm getting at is it feels a little incomplete that they have a society that is based solely around warrior
around
stuff.
Being Gryffindors?
Yeah, or even worse than that. It's the only thing they value is physical violence, even though they clearly have priests and other paths you can walk to have a life.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's also clan-based. If you're in, a priestly clan, you could be a priest. And if you're in a warrior clan, then you could probably be a warrior.
They segregate the jobs into clans? That doesn't feel I thought a clan was people who live together, and they would have to have people they would have to have a
I'm
blacksmith
just
and a
saying
priest
what they might do. I don't know very much about this.
It feels incomplete world building.
Oh yeah, totally. But Joss only does that.
That's why I got excited about Angel. It's here's demons who have different things going on, and and now we're going to an entire world of demons, and all they do is fight. So
yeah, maybe we'll see them do something else.
It feels underdone, underbaked, undercooked.
Well, let's see if they finish baking.
Yeah. So, and then they get taken to see the queen, who happens to be Cordelia.
Yeah. How'd you like her outfit?
It was fine. She wasn't on screen enough for me to like really take it in.
It's not terribly dissimilar from her outfit for her commercial.
Okay.
And I think they did that on purpose.
Princess Leia in a gold bikini?
Yeah.
Okay. So predictions, like, I clearly think that they have some nefarious purpose for Cordelia. Like, you know, in every cartoon ever, they worship you as a king and they feed you all this food. And it's like, oh, it's because they're going to cook you and eat you and they're trying to fatten you up. So
I want so badly to tell you what they're gonna do because it's in their language and therefore doesn't say anything, but I can't...
Is it Booga Booga?
No.
Okay.
Okay. I can't say it.
So yeah, I'm excited to see
happen.
more, but like I know I'm doing some nitpicking, but yeah, like Lauren is an interesting character. And he has a personality, and it feels like there would be other people with personalities where he comes from.
Well, maybe there are, and he just never met them.
Yeah. So we're clearly going to see more of Fred.
Okay.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say she's going to appear a lot more.
Okay.
Just because I know Joss Whedon has a massive crush on her. And puts her in everything he does. She was probably in Firefly, too.
She wasn't in Buffy.
She wasn't?
No, I don't think so.
Well, she was
There's
an
only,
angel, so...
There's only 3 actors that have been in all of Joss Whedon's projects. And
Which
I don't
ones?
think she's one of them.
Eliza?
There's Eliza, there's that one guy that I hate his face. He's in everything. Oh, man.
Who did he play and what?
So in Firefly, he was in one of the episodes that never made it to actual, air. He was the guy who sent his body to them. And then tried to steal their ship. In Buffy, he was one of Buffy's rando dates that,
Was he the beer guy?
No, he wasn't the beer guy. He was, well, maybe he hasn't happened yet. We'll see.
Okay.
And then, oh god, in Dollhouse, he was, I can't even remember because I hate him so much. I try to block him out. Anyway, he's in a lot of stuff.
Okay, we'll look him up on IMDb later.
Okay.
But yeah, Amy Acker, she's also, like, she shows up in a lot of J.J. Abrams projects, so.
Yeah.
So.
She's got quite the little career there.
Yeah. Alright, so those are our episodes, and next week is the finale.
The finale of Buffy.
Yes.
You guys, I'm pretty stoked.
I'm not.
I
I feel like
You're
I'm gonna
still
be...
mad at it.
I feel like I'm gonna be right about some things I don't want to be right about.
What are you going to be right about?
I feel like Willow's gonna fuck some shit up hard.
Okay.
Like, I think she's gonna do some real fucking damage.
Okay.
Because she doesn't have a leash on her powers.
Okay.
So, new patrons. We only have 2 because, like, we have really inconsistent recording schedules, guys. That's why it takes 2 weeks for you to hear from us.
Yeah.
So that we can still stay on schedule. So, oh, fuck. One of you had to have a very difficult name to...
I'd like to buy a vowel.
Nicole... Gaffroyer? I'm sorry, Nicole. I'm going to suck at this forever. And Matt V. So, welcome, guys. So, why don't you plug that thing you're working on?
You mean LostCon?
LostCon.
I'm so glad you said that. So, Thanksgiving weekend, guys. Come on down to LAX, you know you want to, sunny California in November, and come to LostCon at the LAX Marriott, Thanksgiving weekend. We're going to have some fabulous guests of honor, including famed author Seanan McGuire, who has literally won every single science fiction and fantasy writing award. We're going to have Taliesin Jaffe, who you may know from Critical Role, which is on the Geek and Sundry network. You know, that thing, What's-Her-Face Day started. And also we're going to have, who's our third guest of honor? Oh, yeah! The guy who writes Something Positive. That's Randy Milholland. He's super fun. And the final guest that isn't of honor, but is in my heart. Should I tell them?
Yes.
Is going to be our very own Natasha Winters.
Natasha Winters!
Woo!
Yay! We get to hang out with her. We're going to get so drunk.
I'm going to have a lot of things to do because I'm actually the con chair, so I'm going to have to wait till late in the evening to get so drunk, but then I'm doing it, man!
Yeah, so, like, you're working the con, I'm not, so I'm just gonna, like...
Yeah, you could be her con buddy and have, like, a friend.
Yeah. So, I also have a new project, guys. Like, me and Stephen Atwell, I don't know if you've heard of Stephen Atwell, but he's a sometimes guest host on the Unspoiled Network, and he is the Game of Thrones expert. Like,
yeah.
He's written a couple books, which is basically going through chapter by chapter and saying, okay, what are the political ramifications of X decisions? What are the military ramifications of this? Mm-hmm. Like, he goes into detail dissecting, like, strategy and, yeah, it's super good. And the man is incredibly smart, and I'm kind of mad that he has a career being a giant nerd in academia. Anyway, with him, we're covering Unspoiled Style. It's not on the Unspoiled Network, but this really cool comic series called The Wicked and the Divine about gods being reborn in mortals every X years, and them sort of doing this whole branding and marketing and, like, you know, having concerts and shit. And it's really cool.
Yeah.
So... yeah, it's super interesting. I'm kind of mad that I can't read ahead, but yeah, that's over at Graphic Policy, so check us out. I can't listen to our podcast because he has like a 10-minute spoiler section at the end of every episode, so I'm not allowed to read ahead. Anyway, so yeah, those are our plugs, those are our episodes, those are our bitches and money.
Yeah.
And I think it's late and we want to go to bed, so good night.
Good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.